my first time on stage ever. I'm so nervous. It's so I'm ironically nervous after all those videos. This is different. Uh, my talk is actually two in one. So 10 years of Laravel Daily is topic number one, and topic number two, I'll take a clicker. Topic number two is 10 years of Laravel Daily. Because I want it to be kind of inspirational story, so not too much technical, but I want to reflect on my journey of 10 years, and you were a big part of it. As community, listening to my videos and blogs and reading my stuff for many years, but also I've noticed the patterns in Laravel growth itself, so I've seen it all from earlier versions, the decisions, why they were made, how framework evolved, what do I think about it. I was pretty brutal with opinions over the years. Not sure if you watched my videos. I became better at phrasing things more gently. This will be two-in-one talk, and I want to start my talk with two words. Can anyone guess the words? Hello, guys. These words, I said these words in every video. I start with that. This is my thing, hello guys, and then I go straight into the topic. It was like 3,000 videos, and then also 10,000 times where I failed something. I had to reshoot the videos, so people don't realize how much actually it is work for a 5-minute video. So hello guys. And this was the comment that I received on LinkedIn from someone from India. I'm not sure if you're in the audience. I didn't mention the name, so I just posted a photo that I'm traveling to India, and someone replied that that voice of hello guys today we'll be talk about is registered in my brain permanently. Wow. So yeah, and thank you. And even while talking to you guys, I took so many selfies. I feel like superstar now, so weird. But now I feel my impact on you guys, on the community of India specifically, and generally. So unreal, unbelievable. If anyone doesn't know me, this is the slide that I will just basically skip. And this is when I start Laravel. Has anyone used form package? There was such a thing. Oh, there are people. Yes, our generation of Laravel developers. So I started with Laravel 4, and this was the code that I wrote at the time. And I started learning Laravel and teaching about it at the same time, so that's how Laravel Daily came to life. My first article was in 2015. I actually found it, it's still out there, you can read that. So my first ever blog. I lived in London at the time because my wife got an offer to work in London, so I just came with her, got a job, and I had some downtime after work, so I started blogging. And my first video was so bad. I don't know, I cannot even watch that. So with that, with telling my story, I will also want to inspire you and give some tips about how do you even start something like that? Not necessarily content creation or YouTube, start anything. You start anything big by just starting. So this was my start. I'm embarrassed to watch that video, but it's still online if you really want to see me embarrassed. No rehearsal, no microphone, no nothing. I was just, whatever. And this was my first teacher. You know this guy, right? So you probably know this guy as Laracast creator, but before Laracast, he was actually educator, teacher, whatever it's called, on Tuts Plus, NetTuts. It was the platform, and actually he is the reason, partially he is the reason why I started with Laravel, as for many of us. So some of you came to me yesterday and today and telling me I'm the reason you're starting with Laravel. That's so humble, but he is the reason I started Laravel. So this is I wasn't in the very beginning, so Jeffrey taught so many of us, so I wanted to mention him in his talk as my personal inspiration. And it's so cool when someone now, after 10 years, mentioned me as on the same level as Laracast, so another level of humbleness. So my personal story, to inspire you, it had a few steps. a few important steps. So first step was I started blogging about Laravel. And that's the second step. That's it. So the story here is that I was so into that for many years, and I just never stopped. I keep getting questions, keep getting inspiration from you guys, and this is how it became later my business, you can say that, or full-time income, and I will get to that. So this is my story. This is how you can do something for so long. You just never stop. And this was my strategy, quote unquote. I just basically brute forced the market with content on all platforms possible. Twitter, YouTube become a little later. But that was never the strategy of just of earning money from that. There was no strategy basically. I was just vlogging and doing all of that without basically figuring out what I'm doing along the way. Then at some point I thought, wait a minute, there's money here? So like, I was just blogging. I was never thinking about that as like a business, but someone told me like, can you try to release a course? And I found a platform called Teachable at the time. There are a few, I think it still exists. Then I migrated to Laravel Daily as a website for courses, but it was weird to me that you can even earn money from teaching others. But then, 4 years later, so it took me 4 years from releasing something that people paid for, and I was surprised that people actually paid for my first course, which was on Eloquent, from what I remember. On Teachable, it was like $19 or $9, so very like just an experiment, and people paid me, and I was like, whoa, okay. So then I kept doing that, and then 4 years later, I released my last freelance client. So from 2021, for 4 years, now up to 5, I'm a full-time content creator. I earn money from that. We'll see what happens with AI. So everyone is freaking out, like myself, Jeffrey, and Aaron Francis, and others. We'll see what happens in 2027, but this was my journey. For 20 years, I've been doing client work, and now I'm a full-time content creator. So from that journey, I don't want that talk to be all about me, but I hope with my story, I inspire you guys to do something meaningful, not necessarily, as I said, content creation or YouTube. So what lessons or what takeaways or what can I say about my journey? So first, be irrationally passionate. That's probably the only, in other words, obsessed about something. Only then you can reach like heights. Until this day, I feel so passionate about Laravel from content perspective, from video perspective, because I see the gap. When someone presents something on stage, it's like official presentation of like Laravel AI SDK or Livewire or Prest or whatever. Then there's official documentation, and then someone needs to translate it to like real projects on real. So I often go on Upwork for ideas like how are real people using the tools. So I'm irrationally passionate about it, including like yesterday after Taylor's talk. I took a lot of pictures, screenshots. I went back to the hotel, I couldn't sleep, and I thought, wait, I can blog about it. Like, is it still a thing? Because I'm a video guy now, I don't really do text content. So yesterday I spent 1.5 hours writing manually without AI, cutting the screenshots also manually, and then I published a blog post after like 2 years of not doing that. It felt so cool. I reignited with my passion. I remembered what it was back in the days to blog and to post like on the same day, like a journalist, breaking stories, stuff like that. So the only way I could survive for so many years, it's being irrationally passionate. Up to this day, people call me crazy at doing that. Like normal people go to the hotel and just crash and sleep or go drinking or whatever or party. Yeah, I'm blogging, so I'm not the cool guy. I'm not, no, but I'm passionate about what I do. Lesson number 2 is care about people. And this is actually what I felt in the audience here, and when people thanking me for that. I do care about people, and this is partially in my content. So how do I get content ideas from you guys? You give me the comments, the questions, the tweets, everything, and when I'm shooting a video, I shoot a video for someone who I know has this problem or this question. I'm trying to make it like a little bit more simple, a little bit like shape that, but I know that it will impact real people in most videos. Some videos I do for myself because I want to experiment with that, but I care a lot about the audience, not about necessarily Laravel itself or the tools. Thank you. But my goal is the impact for real person or real team for real project. So this is how you survive. And also, everyone is figuring out as they go. If someone tells me they're an expert, they're probably not, because, yeah, if you're an expert, you don't tell that. But, I mean, if you want to start something, again, not necessarily content creating, your product, your idea, your, I don't know, TikTok account, whatever, at first, you will be bad. I was bad. And you kind of you get better with like first 10 pieces of content or whatever. So nobody is an expert. Even like here with AI, it's even more crazy. So people are asking, what do I use, which model, which IDE? And I can make my personal recommendation for this week, maximum. So next week, ask me next week what will be sexy. So now I use Claude Code with Opus model, but this is just for this week. What happens next, we don't know. So especially with AI, nobody is an expert, so you have to figure out on your own. So this was my story. But now Laravel's story, as I see it as a content creator, because I've seen it all. I've seen all the minor versions, all the major minor releases, all the starter kits, trends coming and going, all the tech stack. I interact with a lot of community. Back in the day, in the first year, I was... people didn't like me, to be honest, from Laravel core team, because I was that guy on Twitter or Reddit or YouTube who actually shared his opinion. I was pretty bad at phrasing myself. I was pretty honest, like speaking what I think, and that opinion wasn't always positive. I became better, but I've seen it all, seen all the journey from version 4 to version 12. So over those years, Laravel changed a lot. Or did it, really? This piece of code, I found it in the documentation. Can you guess which version it is written? Which version of Laravel? I see the number in the first row. It's the same, Laravel 4.2. So this is 4.2. You can still write that in 12. Of course, the syntax of method is different, but it will still work in Laravel 12 and 13 and beyond. So the basics of Laravel, the core of Laravel, even I talked to Taylor yesterday, asking him what will come with Laravel 13 and so on, and he admitted that lately Laravel is more about tools of ecosystems and packages and something on top of Laravel. So this is the kind of the proof that Laravel is stable, which is very good for the age of AI. And this is the tweet by Taylor recently. If you use whichever model, actually, it's not necessarily Claude Code or Opus or whatever, most of LLMs are pretty good at generating Laravel code just because they were trained on it for a few years at least, latest versions. There were no breaking changes except for Laravel 10.11 skeleton, but even that, they kind of got used to that. It's all stable, it's all powered by ecosystem tools like past tests running afterwards, like Pint and stuff like that. So because Laravel is so mature and we're having conferences now for many years, it's very good to be used with AI. And since those early days, I keep getting two questions from pretty much everyone. First question, how to structure Laravel project? Like, do I use actions or services? Do you use repositories? Where do I put this logic? If not controller, then when? Do I use whatever fancy pattern? And then second question, what tech stack or starter kit to use? Should I use like Livewire or Vue or React or Jetstream or Breeze or whatever was the trend? Or custom starter kits or mix of tech stack. There's also things like Svelte, like less popular stuff. Livewire comes with Alpine. So people are asking like, what do I use? And the thing is that Laravel gives you freedom to choose. This is what I realized over the years, over Laravel evolving and Taylor's decisions or the team's decisions, they changed over the years. But the pattern appeared that it was always about freedom of choice. There's usually no right way. How do you structure your routes, for example? Is it like one file or multiple files? How do you, what do you use resource controllers or just route get or route controller or whatever? It's freedom. It's good and bad. This is, I probably should thank Taylor for keeping me busy for many years just because of those two questions. I have enough content to shoot and enough questions to answer just because of that. But at the same time, I think Taylor's vision, how I understand it from content creator perspective, was always to give the choice of tools and patterns and freedom. So Laravel is not strict. It may be a problem in some cases, and some people outside of Laravel kind of dislike Laravel for that specific reason, but this was always the philosophy: give people the freedom. And this is the example, so how Laravel evolved over the year. So, not sure if someone remember artisan command, PHP artisan make auth, which gave Bootstrap at the time starter kit. Then it changed first to Laravel UI package, which was still Bootstrap, but then at some point they switched to Tailwind. And a lot of community freaked out. I was like, what? They did what? Like, so that was the general reaction from my people on my YouTube, on Twitter, and Reddit, and elsewhere. But look at us now. Like, we're probably all or most of us Tailwind developers, and the whole world is Tailwind. Same thing. Blade, they introduced in Laravel 8 when Jetstream was released, and Laravel Breeze, not sure if you know, was released after Jetstream, after the pushback from the community, and I was a part of that, because with Jetstream you had to choose Livewire or Inertia. There was no starter kit with just Blade. Then Breeze came in, but the direction towards that SPA movement, towards that full stack movement, he already kind of predicted that this will happen. So that's the third step. And then now in the latest version of starter kits, now we have React more, even on the documentation on the page, we have the first choice as React now, not Vue.js. But it's actually still supports all three. So Taylor made a choice to have 3 starter kits, not one. With that said, the pattern is that Taylor has a vision, as I understand it, to always think what will happen next, what the community will need next because of the trend that happens worldwide, not in Laravel community. So Tailwind was a trend before Laravel. Vue.js was popular before Laravel. React and TypeScript is now kind of a standard for front-end development. So with all the new choices in Laravel, Taylor and the team try to keep up basically with the trends of the market. So if someone, I've seen some people hating Laravel just because they changed something again, new version again, something like we have to relearn. It's not Laravel, it's the market changing, and Taylor and the team is trying to keep up and give us the version and the solution. So for example, with starter kit, some people would kind of hate to learn React because of the starter kit, but you have to learn React not because of Laravel, just because of worldwide trends. And this is one of the last examples. How do you use Laravel with AI? Laravel Boost. You basically just use Laravel Boost, and you're good with AI agent. So Laravel Boost, I talked to Ashley, who was the original Boost creator last summer in UK, and it was all very early. No one really knew what will happen next, and at the time, Ashley joined Laravel team to be early with such package. So not every framework or language has something like that, where you just go Laravel new, you click yes to choose Laravel Boost, and that's basically all you need to do, and then your agents generate good code. So that's also kind of future vision of Laravel. So from all those years, I kind of want to wrap up basically with my advice about Laravel, but that's also kind of broader advice what you can do with Laravel projects and with my general answer. So I'm not sure you know, I have a cap called "It Depends." So this is like the ultimate question, the ultimate answer to any question. So these will be a few ultimate answers to most of the questions that I get even here. So with Laravel, there's no right way. Again, how to structure things, use what works for you, for example, if you have a freedom to choose between Laravel View and Livewire, use the one that you're better at for now. If the client doesn't drive the decision, or if there's no technical reason to switch, don't switch because of the trend. Switch, like, do what will give you the fastest path to the result, basically. So use what works for you, and which means if you ask someone like me, should I use this or that, this will be my opinion, but my opinion is based on my experience, on my team, which is myself, and like my smaller project-ish, smaller demos, and I have a few bigger, but it's like more like small to medium projects, so it wouldn't work with bigger team. So every advice that you get, like how do you do things, it always should come back to what works for you. Also, over the years, I saw people trying to, how to put that, recreate Laravel or restructure Laravel with some fancy patterns on top. People coming from outside Laravel community were trying to push Laravel into DDD, for example. So DDD, domain-driven design, is a concept outside of Laravel, way outside even like PHP. It's this general, very, very broad concept. So people were trying to use Laravel for DDD or like microservices, or they were trying to create custom starter kits, overriding Eloquent, stuff like that. So pretty much once a year there is a Reddit post by someone like, I want to make Laravel super duper fancy something, I want to do this and that, how do I do that in Laravel? And most of the answers are like, don't reinvent the wheel, stick to the framework, stick to the defaults. Over the years, again, there were a lot of, I call them opinionated defaults. So what should be in .env? What should be the default provider? What should be the default this and that? And sometimes it was a weird decision. So, for example, MySQL to SQLite was a weird decision for me when it became like the default in Laravel 10, from what I remember. But over the years, it became like natural thing. So if you just stick with the framework and don't fight it, don't try to re-engineer something custom, then you're probably gonna be good. Also, related to that, you don't know what works for you until you actually try, which in the age of AI is also another thing I also always think about. If you're not sure about which pattern to use or which tool to use, it's cheap to try both now. For example, for file upload, should I use Spotty Media Library or custom? You can ask AI to generate both, like both controllers, and then you will feel what is better, what is more suitable for you. Or do you use like polymorphic relations or something like that? You can try both, but usually you will find the answer only after you try, and only after you try using that specific function or pattern, and no one can answer for that. No one can. So people asking me on YouTube like, what should I choose? I don't know, and I will not know until you try it, and on your code we will try to use that thing, and only then usually the answer comes. And also, kind of boring advice, write tests, but also with the age of AI and getting back to Nunu's talk earlier, the thing that Nunu showed on stage was so profound. You don't really have to write tests manually anymore that much, but you have to know about them, what their methods are, but you can. So a lot of people, there was even a joke on Twitter, came back to actually writing documentation and writing tests now, because you don't write it manually anymore. So README and documentation and tests are written by AI quite often, which is fine. But if you don't write tests now with AI, like, I would call you lazy. Because especially if some parts of the code will be generated by AI, if not now, then soon, I think then test will be the ultimate the ultimate thing that would prove the project to be working. And probably final point is Laravel developer is a thing that doesn't exist on its own. My advice would be to explore other technologies. I recently shot a video about Laravel is here to stay, so Taylor's vision for AI and everything, Laravel is not like dying or dropping or anything. It's stable in terms of numbers, but also you need to look left and right at how to be full stack developer, at least somewhat, AI developer with something, so you need to learn things like vector search and embeddings on top of that. With every project I see, there's usually two things. There's Laravel and there's something on top. That something may be database, deeper structure, there may be DevOps challenges, there may be scaling challenges, there may be front-end, mobile, whatever, something. So to be successful with Laravel projects, my advice would be to experiment with something in addition to Laravel. Whatever is your situation and your basically reality depends on your projects, but Laravel is a great web framework, but usually you will have to learn something in addition to Laravel to be successful. That's all I have. Now I have 3 channels on YouTube, so on Laravel Daily I started Filament and AI coding, so yeah, subscribe to any of those. Thank you. Run, you can run. Oh, that was stressful, but thank you guys for clapping.
Thank you, Povilas, for making it possible to be on stage for the first time for Indian community. Big round of applause once again.
My first time on stage, and it happens in India.
Yep.
But it's because of this guy. So for so many years, Vishal was traveling. I attend Laracons in Europe and in UK, and Vishal was always like, come to India. And so I waited for my kids to get a bit older, and yeah, I'm here.
And that is the reason why we say what happens at Laracon. So let's go with adventurous. Did you guys see the change of theme in questions? For you, we changed the background theme, background colors, so it feels fresh for everybody, okay? So let's play. So it's like fill in the blanks.
Okay.
But I created based on your personality. So it connects more.
No pressure.
Let's go. First, the biggest lesson 10 years of teaching has taught me is?
You learn a lot of things as you go. There's no such thing as expert teacher.
So learn as you go. Perfect. Yes. Number 2, the biggest myth people have about being a content creator is?
Is that they make money. Or make a lot of money.
That's exactly, I was just thinking. That the biggest myth, they think that they are millionaires or they are the richest.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 3, the hardest part of staying consistent for so many years is?
Parenting was the challenging thing. So with kids, stay consistent with when life happens. That was like the hardest part. But that's how it goes. You have to stay consistent. No, it's like the gym. If you skip once or twice, then
I think that is hardest part. I'll give you my story. I think a lot of people from core volunteers group know. Thursday night, my son slept around like 11:30, 12, and he suddenly wake up by 1 a.m. in the morning. Thursday night from 1 a.m. in the morning till 5 a.m. in the morning, I was awake. I could not sleep at all. I wake up by 9 a.m. in the morning on Friday. The moment I wake up, I had a lot of work to do, just finish up everything, met at the speaker sponsors dinners. I literally did not had any sleep at all. My entire body was vanished, and I was not even sure that whether I'll be able to, host 2 days with energy on stage or not. I just requested my wife, packed my bag. I asked Abbas that, do you have a place in your room? Abbas said yes. I packed my bags from my home. I came into ITC, requested him to stay with him because I used to stay at my home. I don't stay at hotel. So that thing I did, and luckily I was able to do it here. So parenting literally taught me that anything can happen. Just imagine 3 years of sleep and you have to be constantly for 3 days.
Yep.
So that's, I think, the toughest part of being parent. So yes, next question. Recording tutorials is easy unless?
Unless the code doesn't work.
Classic.
And then there are many more tutorials and recordings after that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic answer. I like your answers. The spontaneous, bang on. Fifth, the biggest change I have seen in the Laravel community is over the period of time.
Geographical growth, I would say, like India, now Japan. A lot of Laracons came a little later, but grew massively, so worldwide spread with now meetups, local meetups. I guess that's the change.
Great. Sixth, if I were starting again today, I would focus more on.
Presenting myself probably. So what I didn't realize in the beginning, how important it is to have like YouTube titles, thumbnails, and the hook. The first thing at first
Yep.
I was so bad at just speaking without really thinking. I would focus more on packaging. It's called packaging and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Seventh, the moment I realized content was making impact was in past. Like there must be a moment.
First Laracon, I don't remember which it was, when people are coming. Oh, actually, we met in Amsterdam.
Yep.
It was one of the first one. Was I was doing unconference talk, so then I realized how
Yep.
impactful I was even then. Now it's like it's.
I remember,
India
like-
is next level, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember like admin panel or something like you were building,
we
right?
had a product, yeah. So I went. I didn't even mention that, but I also tried to play a business guy, and I failed at that. So.
Okay, perfect. Eighth, building Lego with my 4-year-old has surprisingly taught me.
How similar it is to software development, actually. The project of Legos requires creativity, but also precision, and also things don't work from the first time. But then you have to be creative. You have to go out of comfort zone to build what you want to build. So architectural stuff is surprisingly similar.
Perfect. Ninth, thoughts, critics, or experience. Anything online you have ever received which you still remember is.
I remember when Taylor messaged me on Twitter, DM, kind of teaching me how to behave in a way, which I totally deserved. So at Laravel 8 time, I was pretty honest with opinions. I was that guy, as I told. And then Taylor, like, we had a conversation, good conversation. And then he taught me basically how to phrase better, how to express myself better. So I will probably remember it for the rest of my life.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for being honest. You know, it takes courage to share such experience on stage with audience in public. So let's have a big round of applause for sharing this.
Yep.
That is the reason, you know, that is the reason why I explicitly keep this question, because I knew that you're going to share something which is, you know, so real. So thank you for that.
That's
And
what I
the
do.
last question. One thing I never expected and happened with me at Laracon India is
Selfies. Definitely. That's the first time I like the whole experience of people trying to approach me and there's a queue. That's so surreal. That's I never expected or experienced something like that.
perfect. So that's it.
Thank you.
Povilas, thank you for being on stage.
Thank you.
Would you like to take one more selfie of yourself with everyone? Yeah, please take a
Yep.
selfie.
I'll do it with my phone probably.
Okay.
That's a good idea. That's why I'm so bad at selfies and generally, yeah.
Say everyone hi, cheers.
Oh wait. Oh wait, I'm so bad at this. Okay. Yeah, hi. I will see you later then. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
You've done it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.